Let me know when you want to start.
Yeah, cool. Let's give everyone 5 minutes because I find on Friday everyone takes a little bit longer to come online.
That's fine.
And I'll check on the YouTube as well. And actually, alhamdulillah, last week I think we had like 10, 15 views on YouTube. So you can imagine the family sitting there listening in. So let me check on there as well. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're just giving everyone a couple of minutes and then inshallah we will kick off. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another Friday reminder. Inshallah, I pray all are well. Over to Sheikh Abdullah, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Respected brothers and sisters, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept you well and safe since the last time we spoke last Friday. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is keeping your iman, your faith alive, inshallah. So I want to address a couple of points. One point that I think we discussed before, but people are asking over again. About the now that some mosques have partially opened for Jummah and others have not, is it obligatory upon people to attend Jummah? Would they be sinful? And I mentioned this last time, is that each mosque, each locality will be different. Each locality, each mosque will be different, each community will be different. So some communities, in some communities, some mosques may have the capacity or resources or the logistics covered to open even partially. Others may think that we don't have the adequate logistical system in place to go ahead. So if you're in particular area, and there's so many other issues, if you're ill, if you have symptoms of COVID-19, if you have been around with people who have COVID-19 or symptoms of COVID-19, obviously you should not attend the mosque. You should not attend not just the mosque, but any large gathering. You should self-isolate as per the advice of the government. People who are vulnerable, immunocompromised, elderly, they should not attend, even if the mosques are open, because the virus has not gone. For those people who are well, then it will depend on the situation. It will depend on the community. It will depend on the area that they live in. So if in your locality, in your community, the mosque has not opened because it feels that it's not ready, because a lot of the virus is still lingering in the community. There are increasing of rates of people contracting the virus, as well as the logistics are not in place. Then Zuma is not far upon you, inshallah. Allah knows. But it's a very difficult situation. It's one that it's not easy to take whichever way, but we have to work together, respect everyone's views, work together, inshallah, and understand and empathize that everyone is doing because of the safety of everyone else. Each mosque will take precautions, and it's their responsibility, in particular the management, it's their responsibility to ensure that the musallis are safe. Otherwise, they will be accountable in the sight of law and in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the decision either way is not taken easily. It's a heavy burden on the shoulders of the brothers and sisters who are part of the management. So as musallis, as attendees, we ask the relevant questions, we seek guidance, but we should help and respect the decision that each mosque makes, inshallah. The other point that I wanted to kind of quickly tackle, inshallah, is we are all yearning to attend the mosque. We are all yearning to go and pray Jum'ah, return back with the activities of the mosque. And I was thinking about this, and it's a very basic point, but it's a really profound kind of thing to remember, that as Muslims, our hearts are attached to the mosques. And as I mentioned this a number of times, that even though we've not been praying the mosque Jummah for probably 3 months now, our hearts are always attached. We are praying constantly and asking Allah, to open the doors of the mosque as soon as it's safe, right? And this is a sign of a person's iman. This is a sign of a person's iman, faithfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this reminds me of a very important hadith that everyone, of course, is aware of, that sab'atun yudhillum Allahu fi dhilli illa, on the day of judgment, that there'll be 7 categories of people who will be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Imamun adi, a just a leader, right? And another one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ, that a person whose heart is connected, attached to the mosques, attached to the masajid. Why? Because that person used to go attend the mosque, used to get reminders in the mosque about spirituality, about hereafter. And by inference, what that essentially means is that a person whose heart is attached or connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not, it's not this the physical kind of structure, right? Because physical structures, they come and go. The physical actual bricks and mortar, they come and go. It's that relationship that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we develop with other people, our community. So when the Prophet said, a man's whose heart, or a person whose heart is attached to the mosque, yes, the primary meaning is that a person who attends the mosque regularly, is attached to the mosque, loves the mosque, takes care of the mosque, is active in the mosque, is connected to the mosque, right? but also by inference, by implication, is that a person's heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm sure everyone has, has questions and has been, discussing online and different WhatsApp groups and even with family members regarding the opening or reconversion of the Hagia Sophia in Turkey, right? Obviously this does not really concern us in terms of, what happens in the UK, but it concerns us from a spiritual perspective, right? Hagia Sophia, or Hagia Sophia, I believe also called. It was a church that when the Mehmet, the conqueror, is his nickname, when the Ottomans they took over Istanbul, it was the custom of the time, not just among Muslims, but also non-Muslim Christian, Jews, and others, that these will be transformed into mosques, right? So Hagia Sophia was the center of the Byzantine Empire. So when Mehmed conquered, he automatically transferred it into a place of worship, right? For the Muslims. This remained for hundreds of years, until back in 1930 or 1920 something. I can't remember the exact date. And Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, who became the president of modern day Turkey. They call him the father of modern day Turkey. He wanted to, and this is the powerful symbol of the mosque. Mosque is not a political tool. However, the mosque has been used by people as a political tool. What Mustafa Kemal Atatürk done to completely dismantle Islam, right? He hated Islam, right? He hated Islam. Completely dismantle Islam in the hearts and minds of Muslims. He murdered and massacred ulama, scholars. So when you get rid of scholars, when you malign the scholars, when you scorn the scholars, when you murder the scholars, then there'll be no people to teach and call the people to Islam. So systematically, he began to get rid of Islam until finally he ended the Islamic rule, and he and symbolically, at least by law, he changed the mosque into a museum. And obviously, many scholars all around the world, right, inside and outside Turkey, people, they were completely and rightfully, they were unhappy about this, right? Because it's a house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are turning into a museum. So Mustafa Kemal didn't really care about museums or anything like that, right? But what he wanted to do is psychologically and spiritually humiliate Muslims, humiliate Islam. I say, look, this is the center, right? This is the heart of Islam in Turkey, in Istanbul, for over hundreds of years, right? Hundreds of years, right? The Islam dominated, right? Islam flourished from Istanbul, from hundreds of years. So you're basically the final nail in the coffin for Mustafa Kemal Atatürk and the secularists. The final nail in the coffin, that this is the moment where we seal the deal. This is the moment we get rid of Islam, and they did. And since then, people have been unhappy, obviously, and many people, scholars, and even rulers, they tried to change the law. They tried to reconvert Hagia Sophia to back to a mosque, until finally, in the past week or so, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's the current president of Turkey, and his party, the ruling party government, they worked for a long time, obviously, but they finally got their law to change. And this was supported by not just quote unquote practicing Muslims, but even secular Muslims, even people who were not practicing Islam, right? And there's been a lot of and I'm going to tie it in to the hadith I mentioned earlier, right? A lot of people were discussing online, some people were saying this is a victory for Islam, this is something we should celebrate, and it's a conquest, blah blah blah. Others were saying it's a bad move, it's not prudent, it's not wise for dawah, interfaith relations. They should have opened, not kept half of it as a mosque and half of it as a museum or a church or whatever, right? Now, my personal view is that this is a sovereign state. There are scholars in Turkey, right? And I'm sure Erdogan consulted scholars and his people, and vast majority of the people, over 60%, 70%, they agreed with the reconversion of Hagia Sophia back to a mosque. Over 60%. That's a large number of the population of Turkey, right? So who are we to kind of object, right? Why would you say you should know, you can't do that? Yeah, but yes, theoretically we can discuss. That's fine. But there are people who are trying to say that this is wrong and completely wrong and blah blah blah. My first point is that who are we to kind of object? This is a sovereign country. They could do what they want. And this is, and secondly, this is a good decision from a Muslim perspective. Why? Because a building which was a mosque, then it was forcefully, illegally converted into a museum, now has been reconverted back to the original state, was there for hundreds of years. Shouldn't we, as Muslims, at least spiritually, theoretically, celebrate this? We should be happy about this. Whether a person is a Christian or a Jew, if all people of faith, especially the Abrahamic faith, they should celebrate it. Why? Because the name of God will be mentioned again in that building. The Quran will be recited. Faith will be taught in the mosque. Spirituality will exude, right? Will come out from that mosque. So whether we're Muslim, Christian, or Jew, we should be happy about this. The house of God is mentioned, right? I mean, from a Muslim perspective, even the Quran mentions Ghulibatul Rum, right? That Rum was overpowered, right? Rum was overpowered, right? And the Mufassirun and the scholars, they mentioned that one party who believed in a faith, one party believed in a faith, right? Another party did not believe in a faith, and the Muslims celebrated the party that won against that party did not believe in God, even though they were not Muslim. So even if it's a building that turned into a church, yes, we don't celebrate it, we don't be happy about it, but we'll be more kind of accommodative if the building was turned into a church rather than a place where God's name is not mentioned, well, God's name is cursed, right? So from a Muslim perspective, in particular, when it comes to Hagia, we should be elated, we should be happy, right? We should make dua that all the different mosques in many parts of the world that were forcefully converted into museums and other places, we should make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala converts them back to places of worship for the Muslims. Yeah, so we should be happy. Whether this was done by Turkey for political reasons and whatnot, yes, it was done for political reasons. That doesn't concern us, right? That's up to the sovereign state. That's up to Turkey. But from a spiritual perspective, right? I'm not lambasting those Muslims who think is unwise because of intimate relations. I get their point. I don't agree with it. I get their point. Yeah, but I am with those people who are celebrating it, who are happy. Excuse me, who are happy about reconversion of the mosque, the reconversion of Hagia Sophia back to a mosque. And this goes back to the hadith I mentioned earlier, that one of the categories of people who will be under the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, under the shade, under the AC of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, under their judgment, are those whose hearts are connected to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by implication, by inference here, when it comes to this Hagia Sophia, people who are celebrating, it's a sign of the Iman, right? Sign of their faith. I'm not saying those I'm not saying those who think that it was unwise and stuff, they don't have Iman. I'm not saying that, right? They have the reasons, right? But it is a sign of Iman. It is a sign of faith that we should, as Muslims, in my opinion, be happy about this decision. Be happy about This is not a political thing. This is not something that by being happy about this, that we should be happy about everything what Erdogan does. That's up to them. That's up to the Turkish people. But from a spiritual perspective, from a ummatic perspective, that we are, whether we are Indian, Bengali, Pakistani, Egyptian, Arab, Syrian, Palestinian, Afghani, right? Turkish, British, American, Canadian, whatever we are. Yes, we are British Muslims, but we are part of an ummah. And our identity, what connects us, what binds us together is La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Is that Tawheed, it's the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is what binds us, not our culture. Yeah, our culture may be different, not the food that we eat, nothing, right? All of those things are irrelevant. They're important, right? They have some significance, but they're irrelevant when it comes to faith. Because as Muslims, right, we are one body. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if one part of the body aches, the rest of the body aches. If the Turkish people, if the Turkish Muslims are elated because, not of politics necessarily, but because a house of God, which was forcibly changed into a museum, returned back to a house of God, they're happy. We should be happy, not because they're Turkish, not because they're Egyptian, not because they're Arabs or Indians, whatever, because they are celebrating, because they're advancing the Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same way when the Uyghur Muslims are being attacked, are being persecuted, we should support them as much as we can. But because they are part of our body, they're part of me, they're part of you, right? We can't escape it. If you are believers, that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, right? Without a doubt, there is no ambiguity, without a doubt, for a surety, that the believers are brotherhood and sisterhood, right? They are brothers and sisters in faith. If the Uyghur Muslims are being persecuted, we feel the pain. Yeah. If we are being persecuted, others feel the pain. What destroyed the Ottoman Muslim rule was nationalism. That this is my country, and my country is better than your country. My culture is better than your culture, right? My way is better than your way. My skin color is better than your skin color, right? My language is better than your language. No, we have one language, and that language is Tawheed. That language is Iman, right? That language is that faith that connected to the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wherever we are, right? Why? And Mecca for Hajj and Umrah, right? Because it's one of the manasik of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the rights of Hajj and Umrah, and adab and love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? It's not necessarily because of the actual structure of the building, although it's very significant, very, very important, but it's because what connects us to Hajj and Mecca, what connects us to Kaaba, it's not the building. It's not the building. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, in authentic narration, that the blood of a believer is more valuable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Kaaba itself. The sanctity of the believer is more weighty, more valued in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Kaaba. Kaaba as a building is important, is significant, right? But if Kaaba is not there, right, our hearts will still be connected to the Kaaba because our hearts are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The very first time, if you've been to Hajj and Umrah, the very first time you go and see the Kaaba, right, the emotions and the feelings and the peace and the comfort that you feel is not because necessarily of the Kaaba, is because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is where revelation started. Yes, the place has significance. This place has miraculous significance. There's no doubt about that. But it's because of the connectedness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we have. So just to round up, right? Buildings are important, mosques are important, but what is more important that we stay connected. In the age of connection, is the age of telecommunication and social media and whatnot. And the very fact that we are doing these live reminders every Friday and other times, we are connected to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you will, and hear this out, brothers and sisters, you will get, inshallah, because you used to be persistent in coming to the mosque and coming to the Jum'ah, right? And because of a valid reason we are not attending the mosque, by you attending these reminders, you will inshallah get the same reward as attending the Jum'ah in a mosque life. SubhanAllah. This is how merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. As long as our hearts remain connected, and through these reminders, through this discussion, inshallah, our hearts will continue to be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit from whatever we hear or the goodness that we hear from anyone, inshallah. I'll end here, inshallah. If there are any questions or comments, we'll take time, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. As always, great talk. And inshallah, may Allah give us the same reward as if we were going to Jummah. I mean, and interesting enough, I think is in Cordoba in Spain, there's a mosque there, right, which is now being used as a cathedral. I think it's called Cathedral of the Lady or something.
You know what? Unfortunately, I have not been. It's one of my, I've been to Turkey and other places. But one of my kind of desire, inshallah, is to really go to Spain. I think we mentioned. I think you reminded us last week, Race, that we should go to these places. And why go to places where there's no historical significance for Muslims? Spain is a beautiful country. A lot of rich history, right? And it's beautiful. You can do activities and you have fun with your family members. Last week we were talking about Bosnia, so I don't. Is it the Cordoba Mosque or Cordoba Cathedral?
So Cordoba is a city, and within there is a mosque, which I believe is a cathedral, and I think Granada has a similar.
That red brick and white.
Yeah.
The name escapes me now. But I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
it's amazing because I actually haven't been, but my cousin's been, and he was telling me it's amazing. You walk through and you see all these you see the masjid there, right? But it's been stripped away in name, but the building still represents what a masjid is. It still has as an iconography, which is very Islamic, etc. It's really interesting. But obviously, it's in a way it is used as a cathedral now, right? And there is no complaint from the political landscape over that, right? But it just comes down to in terms of how politics is played at this current time, unfortunately.
Exactly. And you know what? Thank you for this. Reminds me again. We don't have time, but maybe in one of workshop or another reminder, I'll go into it. Although I'm not an expert in this area, some reading I've done. If you look at even the buildings in the UK, right? If you look at some of the churches and the building in the UK, right? They look like mosques from the outside, right? The domes, yeah. In other parts of the world, in fact, some people say that the Kremlin, the parliament, the building of Russia, yeah, that looks like they've got minarets and domes and stuff, right? Now, apparently, again, I'm not a historian, I'm not an expert in that, but I've heard from a scholar, another scholar, he was saying that apparently this was the foundations of that was a mosque originally. Right, so it's amazing, surprising. So when the first crusades, there were a number of different crusades, yeah. So when the crusades from Europe, from UK and France and Germany, other parts of Europe, they went to the Middle East to in their eyes liberate Al-Aqsa. They looked at the different building built by Muslims, the mosques and the different citadels and whatnot. I mean, the UK, in the UK, we didn't have this type of mosque, right? The dome architecture, the the way the certain buildings are shaped. So when historians say that when the Crusades came back, they obviously learned from a lot of the different buildings and art and culture of the Arabs or the Muslim. They came back and they were influenced by the Muslim. Hence, some of the buildings are, even the churches are really shaped like domes. Whereas, where did the dome come from? It was from the Ottomans, really. Yeah, right. It was from the Ottomans, because the dome, by the way, it was not. It's not Islamic thing, right, per se. Right, it's not Islamic thing, right. The way the mosques are built now, it's not really an Islamic meaning. That it's not in the Quran and Sunnah. It was the mosque of the Prophet was simple. But later on, I believe it was during the Ottoman time, they had that shape, the dome, the minaret, and whatnot. But it was when the Crusades went and other travelers went, they came back, they were fascinated, mesmerized by the calligraphy, by the art, by the architecture of the Muslims. They came back and they were influenced. And it's a really fascinating history actually. So if someone were to do a proper study in the UK on the buildings, but even like in the common law that we have, many Orientalists, many experts, they say that the common law that we go by in the English law, right, which is not English law, it was taken from or adopted from Muslim law, Islamic fiqh law, right? Even a famous Orientalist, right, George Maqdisi, he concluded in a lot of his essays and papers that even the center of learning in Europe, right, Cambridge and Oxford in particular, right, the founders, they were influenced by Al-Azhar University and other Muslim institutions in the Muslim country. I mean, look at the when you graduate from university, you have that hat, right, and you have that tail, right. This was taken from Muslim society. So when students of knowledge, when they train, right, they would wear their turban. They would wear the turban had a tail, and it was a reminder for them that they still have a responsibility. Their neck is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that they have a big weight of responsibility on them. So it was a celebration of Muslim culture. So I'm sure I'm not an expert in this, so I've done some reading on it, but I'm sure there are many correlations like that. So really, really important that we learn our history, and we are proud of our history, not because we're Arabs or Indians or Pakistanis or Palestinians or Afghans, whatever, right? No, or Africans or Somalians, whatever. No, we are proud because we are Muslims, and this is what binds us together. And once we understand that as an ummah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us victory, inshallah. Sorry, I know
No, inshallah. And actually, interesting enough, because I've been to Fez, and I think they were saying that's the oldest university in the world, started by a lady as well, actually, if I remember correctly. So it all correlates, right? In terms of you see so many patterns in history and how a lot of what we do now in terms of the way we are presenting education and all those kind of iconic images that you see with the hats being thrown, they all come from somewhere, right? So it's amazing tracing these things back.
Yes. In fact, someone mentioned about mosquito, yeah. But some I don't know. I've read conflicting kind of explanations about this. That in Spain, the non-Muslim, they used to label mosques or Muslim mosquitoes, yeah, or something like that, and hence the name in English mosque, yeah, mosquitoes, mosque, right? Yeah, I'm
interesting.
I'm not an expert. I've read a lot on it, but I read conflicting kind of explanations. So, but I wouldn't want to go into like a lot of conspiracy theories and So we have to base our assumptions on facts, or base our understanding on facts. So, but I'm not saying this is not true. It may be true. Yeah, but it's really interesting. There's so many. To be honest, there's so many other things. And if you look at the law, English law, common law, is directly or influenced by the famous like theologian philosopher Thomas Aquinas, right? He's a lot of his writings were influenced by Imam Ghazali's books. Some of his writings are just really copied from or translated from Imam Ghazali's works. So we should be learning our history differently, but and being proud of our history, and not because, and this is something that we must kind of like get rid of from our hearts and in our minds, that it's not Arab culture or non-Arab culture or African culture or Indian culture, right? It's Muslim culture, right? It's the Islamic faith, the Islamic identity, Tawheed, that propels Muslim to do those things, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, we could probably go on and on, but we do need to wrap up as well. Just a reminder to everyone, inshallah, obviously, if we were going to the masjid, Jummah is a time where we give money to the mosque. Brother Bezat has provided the link in the chat, so please go to alaman.org.uk/donate and donate, as we obviously need the money to be able to pay our Qard Hasana and our running costs that we have for the masjid during the year. I think that's it. Anything from anyone else? If not, we can close up. Okay, no, okay, Sheikh, do you want to just close this up and then we can...
Jazakallah khair. Apologies, I've taken a little bit extra time. Hopefully it was beneficial, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our gathering, virtual gathering, and raise our ranks in the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the coronavirus. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our family members, our friends, our colleagues, and all people, all humanity from this coronavirus pandemic. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable our experts and our doctors to find a immediate cure or vaccine for the coronavirus virus. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase in our knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase in our faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our love and our desire for the house, for his house. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us amongst the shuhada and the righteous and the pious, and next to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala build us a mansion next to the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu عليه وسلم. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Until next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair, everyone.